Hello everyone, welcome to another Croxigo Battle Report. If you've not hit that like and subscribe button yet, then do please do so, don't be shy. This was a 4,500 point game of Saurian Ancients against the Dread Elves with my good friend Tim. Tim's on the Saurian Ancients, I'm on the Dread Elves. I'm going to flash the army lists up for you in just a moment. You can pause and have a closer look if you want to, and then we'll get into deployment. Okay, so here we are in deployment then. We are on front line as the deployment type. It's map number 5, and the secondary objective is to capture the flag. So that's the one where you're taking out the scoring units. So you can see Tim's scoring units marked with a red cross and mine with a token at the bottom there. So let's just talk you through the lists then. We'll start with Tim's in the top left. Tim's got a unit of Rampadon Riders and then a unit of Skinks with a Skink Captain there. Unit of Hunters, a Taurosaur, a Giant with a Pet Salamander, a Spearback is BSB Taurosaur, unit of Saurian Warriors with 2 Skink Priests on Palanquins there, a unit of Hunters, Thyroscutus, another Spearback, unit of 3 Caimans, unit of Skinks with Caimans, and then 3 Rampadon Riders over here. On my side, a unit of Black Cloaks on the left, then a unit of Shadow Riders, unit of Harpies, then 2 units of Judicators, a Mist Leviathan, another unit of Harpies, and then the 2 units of Temple Militants, both with a Temple Legate. And then finally, my unit of Acolytes here. Now, you will notice that my Acolytes and my Black Cloaks are deployed very deep, and this is because I know that Tim is vanguarding and I know that he has the first turn as well. So I've gone very deep here to make sure that on neither side he can vanguard over me and then fly over me in his first turn to get behind my lines. So that's why they are like that. Right, there you go, that's deployment into vanguards. Okay, so here we are in vanguards then. You can see that Tim has moved his 2 Rampadon Riders to have these sort of 2 angled flanks there. I've not moved my vanguarders because I know Tim is going first, and I don't want him to be able to charge me. So obviously now that he's vanguarded, he couldn't now charge, but at the time that I could have moved these, I didn't know that, so I decided to leave my vanguarding unit where it was. Also, you'll notice that the prey scent is on these 2 units here. Right, let's get into Tim's movement 1. Okay, so this is the end of Tim's movement phase here, and you can see it's a general advance up across the battlefield from Tim, but if you pay really close attention to this, you will see that there is some really, truly excellent deployment movement in here. For example, the Spearback just here on the left side. If you want to get close to this thing, you've got to get within the charge range of either the Rampadon Riders, who have a super long charge, that's really good bait, or the Taurosaur at the front, and of course the only thing that can get up here that that can meaningfully shoot the Spearback is the prey scented Shadow Riders. So there's some really structured and carefully considered deployment in here. Similar sorts of things on the side as well. So what looks to be a very ordinary advance, but with some really good play underneath it. That's Tim's movement 1. Okay, on to the end of Tim's turn 1 here then. So in the magic phrase, I use my binding scroll to prevent the totemic summon. I didn't want a totemic beast coming and ruining all my movement and generally getting in the way right at the start of the game. So that's one of my binding scrolls gone. Tim has used his swarm of insects and killed a couple of harpies over here. And he cast the Oaken Throne with a single die. I chanced it. I rolled a single die to dispel it, and I did successfully dispel it. He failed to cast Master of Earth with quite an unlucky dice roll, and that just left Healing Waters, which I managed to dispel. So quite a good magic phase for turn 1 of Tim's from my point of view. I don't think he would agree with that. Yeah, just the 2 harpies. So there you go. That's the end of Tim's turn 1. Okay, so it's end of turn 1 here then. And the quality of Tim's movement phase is so high that if I move any of my units forward, they're going to get charged by monsters. So given the quality of Tim's movement, what I've sort of done really is shuffle and rearrange on my side of the board, keeping the Shadow Riders here out of vision. I don't want to get charged by a Tarasaur. This is a bit of a long charge on the Tarasaur here. Likewise here, but the Shadow Riders would be in a bit of trouble if they were to come out here. They'd get charged by the Rampadon Riders, and the Praesent would ensure that they were absolutely finished off, although the Rampadon Riders could probably finish them without it, to be fair. And then if they go anywhere over here, they're going to get monstered. So they're hanging out behind the hill there. I've got the Black Cloaks in position so that when these monsters come in heading this way, then they can kind of come and start being a nuisance on the side. I'm dropping the Harpies over here to go after these Skink Hunters, and maybe the Spearback is kind of the idea, but not getting too close. I don't want to get savaged by Rampadon Riders. Really what I've done, the only kind of chink I can find here is that maybe the Acolytes can get up the side, because I suspect Tim underestimates the seriousness of Warlock Acolytes. But anyway, we will see what happens. That's the end of my movement 1. Okay, end of my turn 1 here then, and if you think Tim had a poor turn 1, wait till you hear this. He dispelled Hand of Glory, which I had cast and miscast on. His roll of 5-1-1 on 3 dice was sufficient for the dispel. I then put 3 dice into Perception of Strength, which casts on an 8+, that's an 84% chance of success, and failed. And then I put my remaining 2 dice on Quicksilver Lash, which had a 58% chance of success, and also failed, although to be fair, Tim still held 3 dispel dice at that time, so even if it had gone through, it would have been unlikely to have surmounted to beat Tim's dispel dice. And then of course all my shooting is out of range, as I'm cautious about all those monsters hanging around near my shooters. So nothing achieved in my turn 1. On to Tim's movement 2. Okay, so we're on to the end of Tim's movement 2 here then, and you can see the Rampadon Riders have come in at the Warlock Acolytes over here. Now, Acolytes are pretty dangerous when buffed. Their Blades of Daragrul, plus the benefits of their spell and the benefits of their pendants, really stack up, but the spells didn't go off in my turn 1. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here later on. Other than that, the Thyroscutus moving up here. This thing's got a 1+ armor save and is basically designed to hold one of my units in place while maybe the skink block with the Caimans comes in and support or something like that. So that's what's going on there. Bit of a cautious advance from Tim with his monsters here. He obviously doesn't want me to charge him, but I don't want him to charge me either. So there's a bit of a glare, a stare down, I suppose you might call it, over here with these 3. But it's interesting that Tim's chosen to move his Rampadon Riders this way over here, because this is going to free up my Black Cloaks to start being a bit of a pain in the neck without the danger of the Rampadon Riders staring them down. So yeah, Tim's heading that way there. But yeah, cautious advance overall for Tim's movement 2. Okay, so we're on to the end of Tim's turn 2 here. Then he's got Healing Waters off on his Thyroscutus in turn 2, making that thing even harder to get rid of. I've decided not to use my second binding scroll in Tim's magic turn 2 because you can see he got flux card 1, so he's very few dice to sort of play with, and I can put at least 4 into any dispel attempt, so I guessed he wasn't going to try the totemic summon, and I turned out to be right about that. But he has inflicted quite a bit of damage. His giant with its salamander has done 8 wounds on my judicators, and that was going to be savage any which way that it happened. Really sort of presenting a need for me to do something about this giant pretty quickly. His spear back over here has taken out a couple of militants. Likewise, the Thyroscutus with its crew on board, taking out a few militants as well. But then in combat, the Acolytes swiftly dispatched the Rampadon Riders. So can unbuffed Acolytes take out Rampadon Riders? The answer is yes. There you go. That's the end of Tim's turn 2. Okay, so my movement 2 here then, and Tim's decision to move his Rampadon Riders this way, and then the failure of the Rampadon Riders on this side has sort of provided me with a pathway round the side of his army somewhat. So the Warlocks are over here, ready to maybe charge the spear back, or even go after the smaller unit of Caimans. Or combo charge this unit here as well later on. So I've popped those there anyway. Militants up in the front here with the other militants here. So if Tim wants to charge with this Thyroscutus, is welcome to. This unit here actually has both the Rending Banner and the Warsmith rule. So I'm at AP2 here, and then if I get one of my armor-piercing spells off, that's going to get pretty ugly for the Thyroscutus. But anyway, I've just brought him there because I didn't want to charge him just at this point in case I got locked in. And anyway, so that's them there. The stare down continues over here between the monsters and the Judicators, but I've brought the Cloaks and the Riders here to start harassing the giant with some shooting. If these skink hunters want to come and try and fight either of these units, well, they wouldn't be able to get to the Black Cloaks because of not being able to close the door and so on. But if they want to come after the Black Cloaks, they are welcome to. The Black Cloaks will swiftly have done with them. And then the Harpies, generally being a pain around the side here. So there you go. That's the end of my movement 2. Okay, so end of my turn 2 here then, and I've got Glory of Gold off on this unit of Temple Militants. I considered putting it on this unit, but then I figured that Tim knows I'm at AP2 already here, and if I make it AP3, then I take away the question of whether he ought to charge or not. So what I decided to do was put it on this unit here and then put the aspect on this unit here, making me have flaming attacks and making them flammable, because of course at the time this unit was here. However, what then happened was Fate's Judgment killed the spearback that was over here, generating a panic test in this unit, and causing it to flee from the nearest enemy units, which at the time was the Acolyte. So this is now a fleeing unit over here, which was a bit odd. There was a miscast there, but because I'd only used 3 dice, I went from a 3-3-3 down to a 2-2-2, which caused 1 hit and 0 wounds. And then the Black Cloaks and the Shadow Riders between them inflicted 5 wounds on the giant, which sounds like a lot, but it's not really, because these Black Cloaks have got 2 shots each, so that's 20 shots, and they're poisoned. So 5 is about average, actually, there. So, there you go. Bit of progress there. End of my turn 2. Okay, Tim's movement 3 here then, and you can see he's got 1 charge off in his charge phase, and that was against the Harpies, who had been dropped where they were to prevent this unit from making a supporting charge against the militants were Tim to come in with his Thyroscotus. So just the one charge there. He's also rallied his fleeing unit here, which is to be expected as they're cold-blooded, and the BSB has an 18-inch range because he's on a Pterosaur. And then other than that, it's just a bit of manoeuvring really from Tim. The giant and the Pterosaur here just sort of lurking around for the Judicators. He is just on the hill there though, so the giant could see and use his salamander shots, being the idea there, of course. So, end of Tim's movement 3. Okay, end of Tim's turn 3 here then, and it's been a very busy turn 3. It started with me activating my second binding scroll, making sure I'm not getting totemic beasts popping up behind me. Don't yet have time for that. Tim's then cast Swarm of Insects, but it's failed to do any damage, so that was a bit unlucky for him. He then cast Awaken the Beast on his block here, and he cast that with 3 dice, rolling 17. And I thought, you know what, that's only affecting 7 skinks, and 17, nah, gonna let that go through. Then he cast the Oaken Throne with a single die, rolling a 5, and I thought, well, you know what, I know he's still got Healing Waters. I'm going to have to put at least 2 dice in to stop this, and then that's going to make Healing Waters a very, dispelling Healing Waters a very risky proposition. So I'm going to let the Oaken Throne go through, save my 5 dice to dispel Healing Waters, and spend a power die in my next turn to dispel it. So then he attempts his Healing Waters with 3 dice. I attempt my dispel with 5 dice, and my dispel attempt fails. So he gets Healing Waters through anyway. So that's the pendulum of fortune swinging in Tim's favour. But then, in the shooting phase, the spearback does 5 wounds on the acolytes, 4 of which get saved. So the pendulum swings in my direction. And then, further still, the giant does his salamander breath weapon attack on the Judicators here, misfires, and finishes himself off, causing a panic check, which has failed in this unit of Braves as well. So backwards and forwards with the pendulum of fortune there. Then into Tim's shooting phase, he's taken out a Judicator on this unit here with his Braves, and his Thyroscotus has taken out a few militants over here. And then the Caimans have smashed through the unit of Harpies, but taken 1 wound in the process. And that concluded Tim's turn 3. Okay, on to my movement 3, and it's like a game of chess, this game, really it is. So what I've done here is drop the Leviathan in front of the Braves here, because I don't want this Pterosaur declaring a charge on my Judicators. He's only on the dice roll of an 8. It's quite conceivable that fortune could just ever so slightly swing in Tim's favour, and he could get a Pterosaur charge on one of my units, which would almost certainly finish them off. So I've dropped the Leviathan here, taking advantage of the position of the Braves. The Braves now can't charge out of the way, so they can't clear a path for the Pterosaur. Now I'd rather that Tim doesn't get a charge on my Leviathan. I'd rather he charges the Shadow... what are they called? Shadow Riders here. But it is possible that when he declares that charge there that they will flee. So I've left the Leviathan here. If Tim does make this charge, his Pterosaur is going to end up somewhere over here and is going to get flank charged by the Judicators. If the Shadow Riders flee, then he's going to be able to charge the Leviathan, probably smash through it, end up somewhere over here and get charged by these Judicators. So that's kind of what's going on over there. Harpies here plopped in position so that they can either flank charge the rallying Braves here, or if they continue to flee and end up over here, then they can attempt to charge them off the board. And then the Cloaks here continuing to harass the Pterosaur now as the giant has gone. Reforming over here, little bit less confident about taking out this big unit of Rampadon riders with a depleted unit, so just sort of glaring down the distance over here, and then some reforming over here. I must note at this point, I got quite lucky in this turn. I passed all of my march tests, and you would expect to fail at least one, so fortune is definitely swinging in my favour at the moment in my movement 3. Okay, end of my turn 3 here then, and the first thing I did was get rid of Tim's Oaken Throne. I then cast Quicksilver Lash, which goes off on a 7+ with 3 dice on his Taurosaur in the middle here, and failed to do so. That was very annoying. So the pendulum of fortune swinging against me now, but I did at least get Perception of Strength off on my militants here, which gives them +1 strength, and I think armor piercing 1 as well. So yeah, just turning them here. If the Thyroscotus does come in this way, then he will be on my front. It's just angled so that he's on my front here, but just so that if this unit doesn't go this way, I don't anticipate Tim charging Judicators. This is a unit of core troops against elite troops. They are buffed, but Judicators are savage. So anyway, I anticipate Tim reforming here, but I've popped that on there just in case his Thyroscotus does come this way. And then I did 5 wounds on the Taurosaur, but Tim saved 4 of them on 4+. So yeah, in my turn 3, the fortune has definitely gone back in Tim's favour. Maybe I should call this channel Pendulum Battle Reports rather than Croxy, or anyway, doesn't matter. That's the end of my turn 3. Okay, so on to Tim's movement 4 here then, and you can see that he has in fact declared a charge against the Judicators with the Skinks and Caimans just here, and then he has rallied his fleeing braves over here. So in the middle, Tim's given me a bit of my own medicine, really. He's not charged with his Taurosaurs. He has instead put this unit of Braves here, and then brought his Taurosaur around the side here. So, yeah, the chess game continues. Cayman's coming up here, but of course the Leviathan could fly over them if it wanted to. So, last thing to mention, just on the side here, the Thyroscotus blocking both units. That's quite clever. End of Tim's movement 4. Okay, so on to Tim's turn 4 then, and you can see that he has got Awaken the Beast off on this unit, which would later take out the unit of Judicators. We will talk more about that later. He did 1 wound on this unit of Judicators here with his Taurosaur shooting, 2 wounds on the Miss Leviathan here with this Taurosaur shooting, pardon me, and then 2 wounds on the militants here with the Thyroscotus shooting, and 1 wound on the Warlocks over here with his Spearback shooting, so shaving off bits and pieces around the board. But the big news was he came in with his unit here with Awaken the Beast on them. This is a core unit taking out my unit. Now my unit has 3+ to hit with Hatred, and then it's wounding on 2+ with the Artistry of Death. So I get to reroll. So I'm on 3+2+ with rerollable hits and rerollable wounds. And this unit of Skinks, which is admittedly at +1 to wound, with the Caimans takes it off. I'm quite astounded by that, to be honest. And Tim did say at the time that this unit is probably the most underrated unit in the game, and I'm inclined to agree with that. But I do have a hard time when people are telling me that my new army book is broken, and yet a Asarian Ancients core unit can take out my elite infantry. I failed my discipline test by just one, but yeah, very annoying. To be fair, one thing that did happen actually in there, I had 8 to hit wounds and failed 3 of them despite the reroll. So yeah, but failed the break test by 1, fled off the board. So that's annoying. That's a big win for Tim there. That's one of my scoring units. That's the end of Tim's turn 4. Okay, so this is my movement 4. It was not a fun movement 4 if you're a spearback. I charged at him with my acolytes here. They fled, and then I charged at him with my harpies, and the plan there was to bring him closer to the acolytes who could then finish the charge, but they missed him by 1 inch and so failed their charge. I'd also neglected to consider that I would have to pass a discipline test with my harpies to redirect into the side of these braves, which had been the intention. So more fool me. That's annoying though, because it's just left this brave here with just seeing the corner of this harpy. So potential flank charge coming up here now. So that is quite upsetting. The game of chess down at the bottom here continues with the Black Cloaks and the Shadow Riders hounding the Tarasaur. I've charged at the Skink Braves with the Judicators. I want to smash through them, but I don't know how far the Judicators will overrun, and there is a real danger that they could end up sort of in this area here, getting flank charged by the Tarasaur. So the Shadow Riders have to go down to prevent that charge. Well, at least have a chance of preventing that charge. They should manage it, but you never know. And then I've charged at the Thyroscutus here and done a swift reform with this unit so that it can advance on this scoring unit here. I now need to take out one of these scoring units, and these two are the most likely candidates. This is too far away. There's nothing meaningful in the area threatening this. So there you go. That is that. That's the end of my movement 4. Okay, so on to my turn 4 here then. I got nothing off in the magic phase. That was very frustrating. A combination of some good dispel rolls on Tim's part and some shocking casting rolls on mine. So fortune favouring Tim at the moment. But then I did a combined 3 wounds on the Tarasaur here between my Black Cloaks and my Shadow Riders. The Militants smashed through the Thyroscutus, but were elected to restrain because if they went too far forwards, they were opening themselves up to a flank charge from the Tarasaur there. And then the Judicators smashed through the Skinks, as you would expect, and overran a good length, actually, which means that my Black Cloaks here, should Tim choose to charge the next turn, have been sacrificed for nothing. But of course, you couldn't know that at the time. So that was the end of my turn 4. Okay, on to Tim's movement 5 then, and you can see the Skinks have charged the Harpies on the flank here, as is to be expected, and he's reformed with his big block here, ready to receive the Militants in my 5. He's not charged with his Tarasaur on the Black Cloaks, and I think I would have done if I'd have been him, because the Tarasaur is going to die anyway. He might as well take out one of my units with it. But anyway, he's elected to come over here, and I think what he's planning is to combine some shooting with the other Tarasaur and maybe get the Leviathan instead, which maybe is a better return in terms of economy. The Spearback has also rallied here, and then the other units are just sort of positioning really. That's the end of Tim's movement 5. And so on to the end of Tim's turn 5 then. He's Swarm of Insects did 4 wounds on the Leviathan, and then he got Awaken the Beast on this unit here, so buffing that unit, ready to receive the Militants. Of course, I saved the dice for his other spells, which were were better. Again, the Awaken the Beast is only affecting a handful of skinks, so best to let that one through and save the dispel dice for the other spells that affect everybody. He then finished off the Leviathan with his Tarasaur shot, so yeah, that's what he was doing with that Tarasaur there. And then with this Tarasaur here, he's done a few more shots on the Judicators, going for decimating this unit here. That's what he's looking for there. So some really good, very very strategic play from Tim. He's really playing with his head, not his heart, and he is now without doubt an excellent player. So good on him. Skinks beat the Harpies, who fled 10. So I thought, oh, I might have gotten away here. And then the Skinks pursued 10. So that was annoying. And that was the end of Tim's turn 5. Okay, end of my movement 5 here then, and you can see I've charged with the Warlocks onto this Saurian Warriors block. And this might seem like a silly idea because Saurian Warriors are, particularly tough, and this unit of Warlocks should not be able to take out this unit. But that's not the objective here. The objective is to take out the Skink Priest, who is also the general, and there's a gap here. So he counts as being in base contact. So even when Tim reforms, he can't reform out of base contact. We did look this up in the rules before I went in with the charge and agreed on it. I hope you will forgive me for the quality of the picture there as well. We actually forgot to take this photo and put the units back by bringing copies of units on Universal Battle. So it is a bit messy, but that's what's going on there. Harassing the Tarasaur here with more shooting. This guy's got 1 or 2 wounds left. I think it's 2 now. So that's what's going on there. And then, of course, the militants going after this scoring unit here. This is a big deal because Tim is up on the secondary objectives at the moment. So I need this one to go through. And you can see the spell from the end of my turn there as we went back to take this photo. Judicators suddenly, within range of this unit because of their immense overrun last turn, so there might be something here. We shall just have to wait and see. And then the militants here heading kind of through the middle, coming to support the acolytes if possible later on. That's the end of my movement 5. I should also have mentioned in that previous clip the acolytes did charge the spear back, who of course fled before redirecting into this unit. So he's fleeing right now. Anyway, in my turn 5, we got Stars Align dispelled by Tim, and then I failed to cast Glory of Gold on my unit, but I did at least not suffer the consequences of the 222 that I rolled for the miscast because the spell failed to cast. I did though get Hand of Glory off on this unit, as you can see. The Black Cloaks finished off the Tarasaur over here. I did 2 wounds on the Skink Priest, but he's locked in combat. The Acolytes actually won this combat, but the Warriors held and reformed, and of course, therefore, in a better position moving forwards. And in the middle, the Skinks were beaten. The Skink Cayman unit was beaten by this unit of buffed militants, and they fled and were caught. So we're back on level terms for secondary objectives, which is good. So that's the end of my turn 5. I think I mentioned I did 2 wounds on the general over here, but just in case, there you go. So objective partially secured over here. End of my turn 5. Okay, on to Tim's movement 6 then. His spearback has rallied, but won't be able to do any shooting at least, so that's something. And then he's run his Skink Captain out of the unit here, which of course means that my Judicators can't get to this unit in their turn 6, so that's good, smart play from Tim. That's pretty much it, really, of any note for Tim's movement 6. Okay, and then end of Tim's turn 6 here then. So he got Healing Waters off, reclaiming 1 wound on his Skink Priest, which was very smart play. But as you can see, the Warlocks did still manage to finish off the Skink Priest before succumbing themselves. So although they've ended up dead, they've taken out a unit of Rampadon Riders and the enemy general. So good game for them overall. Anyway, in the magic phase, Tim failed Awaken the Beast. He did 4 wounds on the Judicators over here from combined shooting, taking me down to the point where I'm 1 model away from being decimated. And Tim would later point out to me that if I charged the Skink Captain, although I would certainly kill him, the chances are the Captain would do a wound and therefore decimate the unit. And I haven't spotted that, so I thank him for his sportsmanship in sharing that with me. Yeah, and then the death of the Acolytes and the priest over here was really the big story of Tim's turn 6. So, just my turn 6 left to go. On to my movement 6 here then, and it's just the 1 charge with the militants at this scoring block over here. See whether we can take this unit out. They do, of course, have the Healing Waters on them, so that is a factor, and I'm going to need to try and buff this unit to have a good chance of taking out a somewhat whittled down unit of Saurian warriors. So we'll see what happens there. It's a risky play this is. I'm risking a scoring unit to take out a scoring unit. I think if it had been a tournament game, I don't think I would have made that charge, but I want to see what happens, so in we go. And then bringing the riders around here to shoot off the Skink Captain, so that this unit isn't quite decimated. It's not decimated by just the 1 wound. And then the Black Cloaks now bravely coming out into the open after the Tarasaur can't charge them anymore. So that's the end of my movement 6. So end of my turn 6 here then, and to be honest, it's been a brilliant, very strategic game, brilliant game that's really sort of gone out with a whimper at the end. Failed Glory of Gold with 3 dice on this unit here. Tim then dispelled the Stars Align. So I was not sure what was going to happen here, but in the end I actually won combat by 1, but Tim held. 1 wound on the Captain from shooting, but not enough to get any points. Couple of wounds on the Tarasaur from Black Cloaks, but again, not anything worth getting any points. And so, at the end of the game, it is a 13-7, with me having 984 points up on Tim. We've both taken out 1 of our opponent's scoring units, so the secondary objectives are shared. I do think my magic phase was a little unlucky in this game. I've failed, I think, 4 out of 5 attempts of 8+ casts using 3 dice. So that was frustrating, but to be honest, this was a brilliant game, and you can't knock the quality of Tim's positioning. I mean, the pendulum of fortune swung both ways, particularly in the earlier stages, before sort of levelling off a bit and later on in the game. But the quality of positioning, if you go back and look at this video and sort of think, right, well, how would I get to that unit? Oh, I can't do that because that's there. I can't do this because that's there. The strategy in the movement phases in this game was top class. So fair play to Tim for an excellent game. Very well played. 13-7. Roughly a fair result, I think. I think Tim was unlucky with his giant. If that giant had not misfired when he did, the Judicators would have been gone towards the end of the game, and that would have swung Tim, at least from a 13-7 to a 10-10. So, yeah. But it is a dice game, isn't it? So That's just how these things go. Right. Thank you, Tim, for an excellent game. Thank you, everybody else, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Comments, as always, welcome. If you're still listening, well done for making it all the way through to the end of the video. Thanks, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you all next time.